Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Monday morning and we're gonna do, actually Monday afternoon, it just turned noon here in Minnesota. It is the biggest, most beautifulest day of autumn. It's November 1st, or 2nd actually, and I am in love with this sweater, which by the way, I got at Lulu's. I'm not sponsored, but I've been having fun finding new clothes to keep you guys like interested and looking fresh and fun on camera, and I think this is one of my favorites. Plus, it's super, super comfortable. Okay, so I want to talk about Teen Mom 2 because I had some news last week about Kailyn Lowry and her getting in trouble for an incident between her and Chris Lopez back in September. It was a story that I had covered a couple weeks before that, and we have all of the information now, which basically has her in an arraignment in January after she and Chris apparently got into a dust-up after Chris cut his hair. She spoke out about it on Instagram, saying that she came out of character. Now, Kailyn has denied everything, and she has claimed that looks forward to her day in court. According to a statement from her representative, she was also granted sole custody of her children despite all of these ongoing allegations. So it only was going to be a matter of time before somebody from the cast spoke out. Now, I want to just preface this that when Amber Portwood was in hot water in the past, she had very strong support from her cast members. Most of them came out in support of her. Many of them ran to her. The incident that she got caught with in Indiana was a lot more significant, and it was a bigger charge than what is being faced by Kailyn in Delaware. I believe Kailyn is only facing like a misdemeanor, but Amber's was a big fat F, and we already know how that all played out last fall. But Briana DeJesus actually spoke out against Kailyn. Now, one of my criticisms last year was that the girls from the cast seemed to almost in a way condone what was going on with some of the cast members getting handsy with their partners. And we know that DV has played a very instrumental part of the series with several of the cast members getting handsy with their partners. There has been incidents with Kailyn Lowry and Javi. There were incidences with Amber Portwood and Gary, and then with Andrew Glennon. And now it seems that Kailyn is back in the news for this. That there's also been issues with some of the guys doing this as well. So we've known and talked about this wider issue on the show, but now Briana has actually come out against Kailyn for what happened. And she also talked about what happened last week at the reunion. So if you remember, a couple years ago, they were on the reunion stage. Kailyn Lowry was upset with Briana because Briana had the audacity to literally start dating Javi Marquin, her ex-husband, which, by the way, that's super tacky in my opinion. But again, you know, and from Briana's point of view, she always said, like, I wasn't friends with Kailyn. She was only someone that I shared the same show with. That was it. To her, it didn't seem like a big deal. The people that's had like sort of that, you know, sister code or the girl code that you don't date your friend's ex were saying that it was really icky that she did that. So I was kind of on that side of it, but I could also understand Briana's side as well. And we already know that that relationship sort of fell apart. And a lot of people ended up sort of accusing Javi of being kind of a clout chaser. Like, oh, well, my relationship with her is gone, so now I'm going to go on to someone else on the show so that I can maintain my like clout. Well, that relationship fell apart. We all know what's going on with Javi. Javi actually deleted his Instagram after he was caught potentially doing other things on Lauren. Kailyn called him out on the show this season. But during the reunion, Kailyn and Briana actually shared the screen for the very first time since that incident that happened back in 2 years ago on the reunion. So back on the reunion, there was all that dust up because Kailyn and Briana were sparring over Javi. There was some hair pulling, there was screaming, there was yelling, and Kailyn and Briana have not been good since, and Kailyn had like sort of vowed to never be on stage again with Briana ever again. So when Briana wanted to talk about what happened at the reunion, this is what she told Celeb magazine. I've been clear in the past that I'm over the drama for the years past, so I decided to pipe in to comment. I told Kail that it wasn't that serious. I was happy to see her, and I wished her nothing but the best going forward. At that point, Kail still refused to comment and didn't say anything. So apparently they're all out on the stage, and it gets really awkward, she says, because they go on at the last segment, and they're all brought on together. And it was the first time she actually sat down with him. So kind of imagine sitting down for the very first time and you are sitting there and your former cast member, you're trying to sort of extend an olive branch, and Kailyn like doesn't even acknowledge you. She said it was obviously the first time that I had appeared together since our infamous reunion fight, which by the way occurred years ago, and to me at least is a long time in the past. So here's what Briana says. Dr. Drew, who as fans know hosts the reunions, decided to ask Kailyn how it was to see me on camera and how she felt about it. In a true Kail fashion, she was exceptionally cold and said she didn't care to comment. She said, I have been clear in the past that I'm over the drama from years past. So I decided to pipe in with a comment. I told Kail that it wasn't that serious. I was happy to see her. I wished her nothing but the best going forward. And at that point, she refused to comment or say anything. So she says that, it's clear that she thinks that Kailyn still has a grudge against her. And so she said, it's clear that she still has a grudge against me, which given the news of her arrest yesterday, one would think she would have better things to worry about, like dealing with courts for allegedly Beating her baby daddy instead of me. But Kail will be Kail and there's no changing. And frankly, I don't care. I kept it classy and she kept it exactly what one would have expected. She's immature and shows no growth. It's sad. And so, another thing that she revealed is that Dr. Drew apparently asked the cast members about if any of them still talk or if they're friends offline. And if you remember, Leah and Kailyn were super good friends. And she says that it came out that none of them talk. And the only cast members who speak to each other on a consistent basis are Jade and I. And that's that. So a long time ago, we had suspected that there had been some sort of rift between Kailyn and Leah after Kailyn outed Leah for joining those self-help groups, that she felt that Leah was sort of manipulating her audience by recruiting them to come to these meetings with her. And then it's interesting that Chelsea doesn't talk to anyone. Is that why she's leaving? A lot of times I've heard through the grapevine that Chelsea kind of has always sort of kept to herself, sort of kept it professional, didn't want to get involved in any of the drama. But I do find it odd now that Leah and Kail, who were once touted as besties, are now not even on speaking terms, or are they just not talking very much? Okay, but Briana didn't stop there, because on Instagram, she actually made a comment about this, and this was actually captured by The Hollywood Life, and it says this. She shared a photo on her Instagram, and she said that she was going to break her silence about Kail, and she said, while one would think that Kail would be more concerned about her recent arrest or selling her foot pics on OnlyFans, we had an encounter at the reunion yesterday, and it's safe to say SHIT got awkward. She's immature, had not grown, and is still so hot and bothered by my presence, it's laughable. So I'm telling all regarding what went on, and hopefully it airs in full, as you'll see her for the petty person she continues to be. I'll continue living life in my own lane, and a man who loves me and makes me happy and doesn't lay his hands on me. Sending lots of love in the dark direction, XO Brie. So Briana is, I guess, not happy that Kailyn sort of scoffed her olive branch, and so then now she's sort of rubbing Kailyn's nose in it about the arrest. Now, if what happened with Kailyn and Chris is true, you guys were so split. A lot of you guys were super upset. And then others of you were just well, if my ex that didn't have custody of my child cut their hair, I would do the same thing. I don't ever condone any sort of DV at all, so I don't think it's the answer. I also don't know the whole truth, and I don't know what happened. So you've got Chris's side, you've got Kailyn's side, and we'll have to kind of see how it all plays out in court. You guys also in comments were extremely divided. But I almost find this clapback by Briana to be equally as immature as she's saying that Kailyn wouldn't even talk to her, and now so she has to bring up Kailyn's messiness. So isn't that kind of equally messy in a way? Sort of, kind of? I mean, that's my opinion. What are your thoughts are? Did Briana act messy? Are you surprised that Kailyn is still ignoring Briana? And what about nobody from the Teen Mom cast actually talking to each other? If no one's friends with each other anymore and nobody gets along, shouldn't we just end the show and stop pretending like this is a thing? What are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.